Investigators searching through a mass grave in Ukraine say they've found evidence that some of the dead were tortured. The site near Izium, recently liberated from Russian forces, appears to be one of the largest discovered in Ukraine yet. But Ukrainian authorities warned that their investigation was just beginning.
Digging up evidence of possible Russian atrocities. Lined with body bags, this pine forest on the outskirts of Izium is the site of a recent mass grave. Hauling body after body, workers here have already exhumed the remains of 40 people. Police believe that over 400 may be buried here, some soldiers, but also civilians. Forensic inspectors say some of the bodies bear the marks of torture.
We exhumed the first grave and found a body. The rope was found on the neck of the body, and there are injuries on its limbs. These are all indications of torture.
This old cemetery is now filled with new crosses. Some bear the names of the dead, most are just numbered. Police say gravediggers recorded the details of those they knew. Satellite imagery shows the changes in the landscape from March to August, appearing to show new patches in the forest. The United Nations is preparing to send an inspection team, something welcomed by Ukraine's president.
Today, the world must see what the Russian army left behind. Another mass burial of murdered people, children and adults, civilians and military, tortured, shot, killed by shelling.
In the city of Izium, emergency services are still clearing rubble to search for bodies believed to be trapped underneath. Using documentation, Ukraine is hoping to make the case for a legal recognition of alleged Russian war crimes.
DW correspondent Emmanuel Chaz is in Kharkiv, not far from Izium. And Emma, I believe you're actually right now in an air bunker because there are air raid sirens out there. Quite again, tight situation. And investigators in that region, they are faced with a gruesome task. Do tell us, how are they dealing with it?
Well, you know, Monica, even if most of the region of Kharkiv has been liberated, the fact that here we had to take shelter because of air raid alerts, which happens day in, day out here in Kharkiv, tells you just how volatile the situation is in the region. And of course, the task ahead for people who are uncovering the crimes that took place during Russian occupation is absolutely gruesome, very difficult. Imagine that the investigators have to check over 400 tombs, 400 graves, where they found corpses bearing traces of torture. Some of those graves also indicate that people died of hunger last spring while their cities were occupied. There's also graves of children there. So this will be a very hard task. There's 1,000 police officers from all over the country who came here in the region to assist those investigations, and there's already 200 investigations opened by the general prosecutor to look into those alleged crimes in the Kharkiv region.
And of course, this is also a huge trauma for those who survived the occupation there. How are Ukrainians in this newly liberated area adjusting 6 months into this occupation?
Well, yesterday I could visit the region of Kharkiv, which had been recently liberated. You know, even on the road, you could see the extent of the destruction. There's barely any houses left untouched, even when they only, so to speak, have windows broken. Most of them are not inhabitable anymore. Schools have been destroyed as well. And in Balaklia, I could talk to some people who told me they lost relatives, who told me some friends have disappeared. And the people I saw in Balaklia, they had to queue to get water, to get food from humanitarian convoys. That's the situation they're in. And on top of that, they fear that they now also live with some people who accommodated themselves under Russian rule. So you have a very, very strange atmosphere, and this will take months, if not years, to be fixed.
Right. And Emmanuel, obviously this all coincides with Ukraine actually making huge gains. Are the people where you are they hopeful that perhaps this nightmare could come to an end soon?
Not really, Monica. Here in Kharkiv, we're only 35 kilometers away from the Russian border. And I was, something that struck me 2 days ago. I was talking to someone here in Kharkiv, and he was telling me, as long as there won't be a gray zone between the two countries, we will always, here in Kharkiv, be under threat of being bombed by a missile or being under threat of a new invasion. So people are relieved for now, but most of the people I talked to are still very fearful that this could all begin again here.
All right, Emmanuel Chas reporting for us from Kharkiv. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Take care.